This training module covers the display layout, menus, and window formats for the Embraer E2 aircraft. This material was developed by the Honeywell Flight Technical Services Organization. For more pilot training and videos, go to pilots.honeywell.com. This presentation is Honeywell proprietary information and is subject to export restrictions and is intended for personal use only. E2 utilizes four 13 by 10 inch displays, model number DU1310, located on the forward instrument panel. The layout of the display information is very similar to the E-Jets E1 aircraft and uses similar MFD drop-down menus and controls through the cursor control device. On E2, the location of some data blocks have changed, but the primary flight instruments, radio tuning, and navigation information found on the PFD are the same as E1. The E2 primary flight display, or PFD, utilizes additional display real estate and adds two new windows. In the top outboard window is the flight information window, and below it is an air traffic control uplink or CPDLC inbox repeater window. The flight information window contains data obtained from the aircraft's flight management system and other avionics. For example, flight ID, tail number, transponder code, date, and an elapsed timer function. A new ATC uplink window is shown full-time on the PFD. This window is a repeater window from the CPDLC inbox found on the MCDU. Only the newest message is displayed in the window. When the message is read and cleared from the MCDU, it will automatically be removed from the PFD window. When a failure occurs, including failure of the synthetic vision or GPS display position, the display will fail down to the classic PFD format, which is shown here. All of the instruments remain the same, but the pitch tape is compressed from the expanded SVS pitch tape. Each MFD, labeled Display Unit 2 or DU2 and Display Unit 3 or DU3, can be formatted as either a large screen INAV map display or two 50/50 multifunction window formats. One requirement when formatting the displays is that an ICAS window must be displayed on at least one MFD. Each multifunction window can be formatted by using the drop-down menus and the CCD. The available window formats are shown here. Note that the ICAS can only be shown on the inboard side of either DU2 or DU3. A fairly complex reversionary mode scheme is automatically programmed into the software. The pilot does have some limited control over display reversions using the on-side reversionary panel. The reversionary panel manual operation is covered under the online module for E2 controllers. The MFD can be configured to contain two separate display formats or multifunction windows. Note that the top and bottom menu tabs are the same as the E1 aircraft. One MFD can also be configured to be a full-screen INAV or moving map. To change the display to full screen, open the Map or Plan drop-down menu and select Full. To change from a full-screen map to a half-screen format, open the Map or Plan drop-down menu and select Half. If the optional INAV function is not installed, the standard MFD map format will appear with a black display background. MCDU flight planning is still available with a stick flight plan overlay on top of the black background. Basic traffic or TCAS overlay is available. Weather and terrain overlays are available. The optional Jeppesen electronic charts function is also available for overlay. The following functions are not available if INAV is not installed: geopolitical boundaries, topographical shading, graphical flight planning, XM weather, uplink weather, and graphical radio tuning. When INAV and advanced features are not installed, the Map and Plan drop-down menus contain the selections that are shown here. When INAV is installed, the following functions are enabled for display: Flight Plan Overlay, Traffic Overlay, Weather Overlay, Relative Terrain or Ground Prox Terrain Overlay, Geopolitical Boundaries and Airspace, Topographical terrain shading, graphical radio tuning, graphical flight planning, which is an option, the optional XM and uplink weather, optional common display of traffic or CDTI, which is also ADS-B in, and the optional Jeppesen electronic charts. The altitude preselector arc, which is the dashed green line shown here, is a prediction of the lateral distance at which the selected altitude is achieved on the map. INAV will use the selected altitude, baro altitude, ground speed, and altitude rate in order to draw the altitude preselect arc at the current location in front of the aircraft symbol. When the optional INAV function is installed, the drop-down menus are modified and contain several submenus. Submenus are indicated by white arrows on the right side of the menu. The Fixes selection contains a submenu to turn on and off the nav aid and airport overlay icons. The Flight Plan menu contains a submenu to overlay constraints, engine out SID, the missed approach procedure, the alternate flight plan legs, and the secondary flight plans. Secondary flight planning will be covered in a separate training module. The Airspace submenu contains selections for turning on and off high-altitude airways, low-altitude airways, terminal airspace, and special use boundary overlays. If the optional uplink weather function is installed, the uplink weather submenu will be enabled, which controls the overlays for the uplink weather display of NEXRAD, satellite imagery, and winds aloft. Uplink weather is covered under a separate training module. Similar to the map drop-down menu, the plan drop-down menu also contains submenus identified with solid white arrows on the right side of the menu. In plan mode, the pilot can turn on and off nav aids and airport symbols. They can overlay flight plan legs and waypoints, as well as turn on and off the secondary flight plan overlays. They can turn on and off airways and airspace overlays, and control the uplink weather function. When the aircraft is first powered up, batteries to on and DC power, DUs 1 and 4 are configured in a 50-50 window format, with the ICAS and synoptic displays shown. DU2 and DU3 are blank to conserve battery power. When AC power is applied, power is supplied to all the DUs and the default display configuration is shown here. All displays are powered, DU1 and DU4 are configured as PFDs, and DU2 and DU3 show two synoptic windows, a map, and an ICAS display. ICAS windows are always displayed on the inboard window of either DU2 or DU3, or both displays. When only one ICAS is shown, the top menu for that window is grayed out, because the one ICAS cannot be disabled and the window cannot be formatted to anything other than an ICAS. When a display fails, the auto-reversionary software automatically reconfigures the displays based on a display priority scheme. The software will maintain at least one ICAS visible to both pilots and will ensure that there is no disruption to the display configuration on the unaffected side. If the aircraft is airborne, a PFD will be shown on both sides of the instrument panel. For example, if DU1 fails, DU2 is automatically configured into a 50-50 window format so that a PFD window is still shown. The description of other automatic reversion functions can be found in the E2 Pilot Guide. For more information on Honeywell products and services, go to www.honeywell.com.